Have you ever wondered what the Whimsigoth aesthetic is? Well, let's do a deep dive. And if you don't recognize me, hi, I'm Alexis. I make fashion-related content, vlogs, and other fun videos like this. In fact, I did this video before, but it got muted because I think I used like a Fleetwood Mac song in the back. So here we go again. Now let's start with the first word, whimsy. There are a lot of whimsical elements in the Whimsigoth aesthetic, and this could be referencing the long, flowy clothing that you see in the tops, the skirts, and the dresses, but this could also be referencing the more celestial elements within this aesthetic. And I do get asked this a lot. You do not have to be into astrology to enjoy this aesthetic, but the Whimsigoth aesthetic does have a lot of celestial elements. You see a lot of star belts, star and moon earrings, and you'll also see it in patterns and in some pops of color such as this burnt orange. You also sometimes see gold. Whimsical elements to this aesthetic could be referencing the stars, the sun, and the moon. Could also be referencing the flowier clothing you see such as in tops, like this, and like this, or this. And then of course flowy dresses or flowy skirts accompany this. But let's take a look at the second word, goth. This aesthetic has some 90s elements to it, specifically 90s gothic styles, which would include a darker color palette, velvet chokers, lace. Here you see a velvet top and then a velvet skirt. And then you have those things with a darker color palette. Whimsigoth aesthetic does have more of a berry color palette, and you'll see blacks, dark blues, dark purples, burgundies, and then occasionally like a pop of gold for the stars and the moon. But I think that the gothic side of this style is referencing the textures and the color palette. Because at the end of the day, the Whimsigoth aesthetic is an alternative style, and I think when people think of alternative, they think of like punk, emo, or scene, which are all three different things, by the way. But alternative to its core really just means anything that veers away from traditional style. So when you have a little bit more gothic elements, such as like corsets, velvet texture, and lace, not to mention a mostly darker color palette, these are all things that you see within gothic styles. But what makes the Whimsigoth aesthetic unique is that it mixes the two. It mixes gothic styles with more whimsical elements that add a lighter aspect to the aesthetic, and then the celestial elements add even more whimsy and wonder and pops of color. And again, when you take all of those things together, you create the Whimsigoth aesthetic. But let me know what you guys think. And I do have an in-depth Whimsigoth aesthetic deep dive on my YouTube channel if you want to check that out.